Alrighty, I am back. I have instructions to whatever extent that is. It is claiming right off the bat that there are 62 steps and it requires 1 hour. Tools needed are a couple of hex keys, which I just got my set. I'm probably going to use a 3 3/4 for a 2.5, but they're asking for a 2.5 and I don't have a 2.5 in here. I might be able to find one if I really need it, but if I don't, then this will be fine. We're gonna need right angle square, just to line everything up, knife, which is in my everyday carry. It's been treating me well so far. For those that actually care, it's a CRKT helical body lock, no bearings, just Teflon spacers. They said that the blade is under warranty except for broken tips and probably a couple other things. It is a harder steel. I haven't really noticed a difference. I guess I don't sharpen it as fast as softer steel ones. It goes through its wear and tear, so I go through knives pretty fast, and that one's been real nice where it's got that low profile and it's been lightweight, so that's good. Anywho, back to things. A wrench, 12mm. I'll probably go back and forth between screwdriver and drill driver. Let's solve something real quick here. This is a TC Tool V6. So our first plate here is, it looks like we got a fan, and then we also have the mounting plate for the tool changer system. Moment of truth, it is just the V6 hot end. I didn't get volcano nozzle on this. I don't really see a need to. I like the blue anodized. That's gonna look beautiful. And then plus the blue cover. That is just the hot end. That's effectively the remote extruder motor, if I can get it out. Access denied. So I cut. Look. You aren't getting anything out that they don't want you to get out. Alright, yep.
Idiot!
There are always better ways to open things. Alright, anywho. It's a Bowden adapter kit, and all that is just a little piece between the extruder and the heating block that also holds the nozzle. Basically a direct line. You just screw this in, assemble the Bowden tube adapter, and they even include a little clip here to keep it all nice and secure. To anyone else who gets these, just go ahead and get the Bowden setup. If you ever want to switch over to the Hemera drives, all you have to do is just put the heating assembly right on here. Yeah, there's probably more to it than that. There's gotta be more to it than that. Anywho, enough messing around. You get the fancy Hemera Direct Drive unit. It is a double fed system. You get your sprocket on both sides. This is just gorgeous, just beautiful. I'm excited. This explains a lot about why there's Hemera markings all over the boxes. And we'll set this aside for like a long while. Grab some foam packaging here, realizing after the fact that I should have just did this from the getaway. Stack this real quick. Throw this hot plate on here. Literally our first build is going to be the case, or the box area. Looks like we're starting with the base. I will set the acrylic down, all kinds of fasteners with Loctite. It looks like they gave this a half-hearted attempt at deburring. You can see some areas that worked, some areas that didn't. I would not suggest feeling safe around this for like running your hand long ways. As with any sharp side or knife like this, I just sharpened it. If you're gonna test it by pulling along the edge and just gently. And you can feel how razor it is by how much it tugs on your skin. And so you can kind of feel this, and it's like, it's got a good bit of grab, but then there's other parts where it just like, it doesn't grab at all. But, so we have M8, button head screws, and latch feet. And you got non-fixed feet where it'll rotate to accommodate surfaces. That's really nice. So I'll just look for some that are the same size, because none of these are labeled. They went overboard to the point of setting an extra foot. I could see screws and hardware for like a foot. Take an extra foot. It's not an extra hand, but it's an extra foot. So the other thing is it doesn't mention length, but it looks like these are the only MH screws. Those look like they're M6s. Looks like we got some, probably some M5s, M4s, and M like 2.5s, M3s, something like that. So for any of these, we'll just use this as an example. This piece is gonna go on the top. Oh, it might actually use it here underneath the Z-axis to prevent any extra wobble. Remember what I was saying about clever? I like clever. That right there is clever. So anywho, this has 2 holes, say 20 by 40. This has 2 holes. What we're gonna do is foot towards outermost side and then screw on the innermost side. And then what we end up with down here is we'll have foot on the outermost side again, and screw on the innermost side. That way we have our feet as far out as possible. Just maximizes stability, reduces any issues. I'm actually going to real quick dry fit. So we have hole to hole fits, and if we rotate the printer, hole to hole fits with clearance. So we're going to be good to have this on the outside. These are actually pre-threaded. Good fit. We'll just go ahead and tilt this up towards you guys. I guess start in the front. Drop this in, drop this in. And as with any fastener ever, I will dry start it. But I'm lazy and we'll be using a drill driver for this. But never tight right away. Footy. Man, they just really might have to find a different solution for this, but we'll just leave that a little bit out. I think I might go snug with this, just to hold it like mostly square. But since we're doing a top and a bottom to the system, it wiggles, which means that it's not tied in, and that's going to be absolutely necessary to maintain, so that when it comes time to squaring this up, it'll just be as simple as putting a square down and then tightening this up. This is what I'm going to do for the other side. Yep, all these wibble wobble. So we're set there. Okay, now maybe I just need to set a timer.
Idiot!
No idea what all you missed. I apologize for not keeping closer track on the camera. It does shut off every 30 minutes, and well, now we're here. Anywho, I went ahead and put this back on, and all it was is a bolt, a washer, and a T-nut that has anti-turn, so it'll catch on these corners. So we put all 12 nuts and bolts. We assembled all those before putting anything together, and then it just slid in and turned it until it was mostly tight, just to keep it in place. And then I went ahead and added this in, including the 5th foot that happens to go with this, but we'll see if that gets us into trouble later. I guess I'll go over feet just to make sure. Feet, put feety out at the very corners for greater stability. One does go here, that's why they send 5, and this is an M8, and nothing is tightened at this point. We'll do tightening at the very end, putting all the sidewalls and the top on so that alignment can be done before tightening. It looks like you missed the entire assembly of this. We'll just go over how to put things together. The biggest thing that you really need to know here is the orientation of this panel. So this center tower is pre-assembled, and this is going to be your guideline, is where this connector is, and that's just going to line up right here. That's it. That's what you're going to use to align this, and then it just goes on the back side where the slots are, and it will go on the front side of your uprights, but the back side of your Z-axis, and that's that. Otherwise it's just nuts and T-nuts and bolts. we'll rotate this and we'll put in another side. Next, we're gonna steel apart, I guess. This is what they're referencing as a back panel. All we're gonna do is take this little piece out, and it's going to be used later, or right now. According to instructions, we can go ahead and take this film off. We can leave it on. I don't think it'll matter a whole heck of a lot. If I can't get this off, we'll leave it on regardless. So we're just gonna leave the film on. That's all we needed from the back panel. Up next, we get the top plate. What a gentle name for it, the top plate. In all reality, the top plate is a thing of beauty. I mean, just gorgeous. Wow, this is nice. Oh yeah. So I'll just flip this upside down right now. Everyone to just appreciate. Out of aluminum sheet, and then the machining that went into this is just phenomenal. They already set everything up to be in place. You and are going for a ride. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed their little traveling towards 3D printing. So the nice thing about this is that this is all pre-tensioned. The downside to this is the only way to tension it is through the carriage. So it looks like we have actually some sort of tensioning mechanism right here, and that's for each belt. So first off, there's a tiny little set screw here for tensioning, and then they have a massive set screw for the instop, which is lovely and all. I mean, they need the length, but last I checked, this is the longest belt I've ever seen on a 3D printer, and I'm running a Rostock Max. Maybe the only exception is, I forget the name of it, but a ginormous Delta printer that was just released. I mean, it's like 1.5 meters tall. Might have longer belts than this, but these are just phenomenally long belts. Good grade. Don't know if these are fiberglass core or if they're steel. I imagine they're just fiberglass for this sharper radius, but long belts, just the tiniest little set screw ever. I guess you're not relying on that, so to truly tension this, like that's more of like a calibration, and then what you do is you back it out all the way, tighten everything down on your carriage, and then do like calibration, just like slowly swing this out so it swings here, slowly push this away until it's away from the system. This is nothing shy of being pretty twat. As you can see, it's pretty well up there anyways. Looks like they just tightened with these front ones. The back ones are there to stay. And you just grab and pull until they're taut enough, and then you just have the final calibration to whatever that may be. Interesting for sure. The nice thing though is how they set this up, where you have your two belts here, mainly this one and this one, that has slots, dedicated slots here to actually pass through. So most, if not all, of this back wall, it's going to be completely sealed off from the internals, which means that these steppers will have fresh air and will not be affected by the internal temperatures, which I'm sure can get fairly warm with it, considering it's an 800 watt build plate. I mean, build plate's not everything, but I'm sure it's not going to be frigid inside of the chamber. Really beautiful build. As with the base, these use the M8s again, but we get to use 2 M8s this time because there's no feet. So I'm just going to finger tighten these until they're all in, and then I will use a drill, but we'll use this piece that I pulled out, and then this will actually be used to square up surfaces before we pull it down tight. And like right here, and you'll see better over on that side, but this is where it's very important to not have tightened anything down yet. Just a matter of moving things around. But this is where I'm just like baffled about why E3D did not include the installation of this vertical piece before the installation of this top piece. To me, it makes sense. Put your vertical structure there so that whenever you tighten all this down, you're done. There's nothing left to do after you tighten this down. Because otherwise, this piece is in the road. Like you'd have to move your trolley out of the way, drop it down, and then squeeze it between your base plate and your upper plate here. Alright. Well, these M8s are going to round out as not having any extra parts. This, however, whoever their supplier is, bad bolt. I mean, it's not holding any weight, so I don't care. I'm going to use it anyways. I'm actually going to, I think I'm going to pull it off of this one, put it back there. Since that's facing the front of the chassis, I don't really want that aesthetically first and foremost. So I'll go ahead and rearrange that. And I'll put all these tiny little screws back away. Low quality screws. I don't know where they're getting it. So all we're going to do here is make sure that this is like pretty well lined up with this front corner. Because I know there's some offset on these, I'm going to feel for the least offset side. Not really one, they're all sticking up and out. But I want to center this pretty well. I got a little bit of overhang from this, so I'm fine just pushing that way. And I'm just going to give it just a little bit of love there. I mean, at this point, they didn't provide us with a nice 90-degree option, so I'm just going to use finger feel. I know that they want this lined up pretty well. My finger's going to have a higher tolerance than that piece will. If you don't believe me, go check out just how high tolerance human fingers can feel. It's actually kind of on the ridiculous side just how much finesse human feeling has. These were good with pulling down because this frame doesn't have any like structural integrity to it. With the base plate though, and especially with these, I think what they're going to end up having us do is we're going to use the square before we tighten these screws down, because that's going to give you your angle. Like, yes, this is a sheet, but the largest force is going to be right along that diagonal, and once you lock that down, it's not going to go anywhere. Here I actually do need the sheet, so this is going to be important because they designed this where that your outer shields will actually sit like just on the outside, and they'll be like a nice, beautiful mating surface. I don't know if I'm describing that real well right now though. We're just going to run this down to its starts pulling me together. Alrighty, and we have our XY axis in place. I mean, we have a Z too. This one's a hair bit more secure. Oh boy, she's looking gorgeous. I'm excited, are you? You can take your pulley out, or take it off, dismantle it without having to pull the entire assembly apart. That, I really like that. This makes me really, really happy. Alright, next up. I might actually be in frame. Hi guys. Now they want this to be completely tightened down and like aligned where this is face front, and then placed such that your side panel will be nice and flush. So they want both things, and then they want this tight. And it's okay being tight, that's fine. But what that does is it puts the panel into a bind, and I don't know. Last I checked, putting things into a bind isn't exactly that great. I guess it could work out in your favor, because then you kind of have like a preloaded system. Because there's already like an internal stress, it's going to be bound tighter, and so any external stress applied to it is relatively smaller, where it just doesn't cause as much movement. And it seems a little shady yet. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Crank it down. All day. Hola.
How's it going?
It's going.
What's you look good?
Thank you.
Looks like you might actually have a printer going on. What?
We're here now. It's pretty square this direction, but again, at least me, maybe you guys believe it to be different, but for me, I don't trust that base plate anymore because it warped to the point where it went from a pretty significant offset to being pretty much perfectly aligned. So I'm just not touching that anymore. We are at the point where we get to tighten this electronics panel, all the screws on. The way that I like to do this is start in the middle and work your way out. That way, if there's any sort of like warping or whatnot going on, kind of like if you have like bubbles in a sheet and you stir at the middle and you push it out. Otherwise, you might end up trapping some of the bubbles and making things worse. So what I'm going to do is start in these center two, and I will tighten these down. I think I might actually use the drill for this. I already tightened all these anyways. Again, start in the middle. Careful not to over tighten. It is kind of fragile. And that is it for that back electronics plate. Sounds loose. Cool. Alright. Next step. Whoa. Good. We get to put the base plate for the heated bed on. We are making progress today. No, that's like doing all the easy first. Love it. So we got some M4s, button head screws, and some washer. Alright, looks like these are threaded. There's lots in here. Button head screws of various lengths and nylon washers. But it appears that these are our ticket. I'm gonna go with the longest ones they have in this bag, and it looks like there's also only 4 of these long ones. Now there's more washers, but there are only 4 long M4s, or at least what fits that. We'll call them M4s. I'm just going to go ahead and turn this around. I do apologize that you don't get the full show here, but I really don't feel like working underneath the tripod. Just so that you're aware, this did arrive as a 60-pound package. I did have 2 extra extruders with included hardware and whatnot for this setup. And they're the actual Hemera systems. And those are the ones I'm going to end up installing too. We won't be doing all 4 with this video. I'll probably actually just stop it at 1 extruder, because I'll be happy to even be extruding filament by the end of this video. And I'm using the 3/16 because, yeah. Just 4 screws, that's all. Not sure why they have the nylon washers yet. Might have to replace those with steel ones later. But for now, alright. Alright, and y'all just remembered me complaining about this frame not being that straight. I know they want us to use level as a verification point. In order to, well, I'll do this first. In order to calibrate this build plate, how level it is. So, it's not centered, but the point is for it to be at the same slope. And so what's going on is this bubble ends up being like just a hair bit off to the one side, and so I'm just setting the build plate to be the same. And it says rotate one of the ends around, unclip it and rotate one of the ends. But there's definitely a specific end to rotate here. This one doesn't have any clip-on ports. The rest of these have like a little slide-on joint. This one does not. So we're going to take from the other one, plus this other one wobbles a lot more. And so what's going to go on is it's going to go right down here, and whenever you place it, right now it's facing inwards, but we want to turn that around so it faces the other way. Shouldn't ever matter, but for sake of ease, we're going to use the side that already has the easy slip-on joint, just so that it's easier. It's really weird that they have us taking this apart though. Okay, so I'm putting these M3 screws in here, and allegedly I have washers. That being said, this baggie does not contain any washers. Okay, it looks like they put the washers that you're supposed to use for this in the big bag for other things. I'm starting to get tired of having to search for stuff. They really need to tie this down and turn this into a Lego set like yesterday. Because me having to dig through this is unpleasant, and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, so it doesn't inspire confidence. That's a thing. It is in a place, and it is doing a function. Awe-inspiring, completely awe-inspiring. I'll go and put all these away, and we're gonna put some side panels on. That sounds like fun. Like, I am really excited to get some side panels on here. I don't think the side panels will have any truly structural features to them, so I'm going to mount them with the cover still on them, and hopefully I can get some really cool art done to them. Oh hey, looky, it says that these can wait until the final stages of the build. Perfect. I'm going to wait until the final stages of the build there, because I think it'd be great to, maybe not this electronics panel one, but because there is going to be a second back one, I can do cool art on that and then figure out how to do some LED input for these, so it's kind of like those transparent exit signs, and they look really cool. There we go. That, aside from the side panels, which are kind of obvious since we already put them together, it'll be this outer slot that'll be used for the side panel, just because of the way it's set up on the panel itself, and then a matter of orienting them, that the instructions will be necessary. The rest of it though should be pretty straightforward. I'm noticing already though, this printer is going to show dirt really well, especially after peeling that back off. It created a lot of static, and so there's just a lot of stuff sticking to it really well. Alrighty, electronics. Go ahead and reset the camera, and I will be back.